Hello, St. Anne Parish, and welcome to Holy Week. A week I hope that maybe in some way is a little more prayerful, reflective for some of us. At least occasionally we might have those moments during this week. Lots of things to talk about, but I kind of want to take our time and methodically go through some of this and maybe also conclude with some reflection on an excerpt of the Passion that we'll hear proclaimed on Good Friday. First of all, there are palms available. If you were not able to be with us in person this past weekend, you can stop by. They're right inside the main entrance of the church. You can park right in front, run in and get your palms. Also, while you're in grabbing your palms, you might grab a couple copies of the Little White Book. This will guide our prayer through Easter time. Even if you have your palms, you can stop by and get the Little White Book. If you know of people who might appreciate this resource, so there's a reflection on the previous Sunday's Gospel. It kind of takes it bit by bit through all of the 50 days of Easter time. If you know of someone who might appreciate a Little White Book, please be sure to take one for them, and that's true of the palms as well. You might also want to stop by, if you have a little more time, stop in the library. There's some good resources for Holy Week and Easter time, books and DVDs and other things as well. So please avail yourselves of that, maybe especially as we go through Holy Week and into Easter time. And then also to call your attention to our Holy Week retreat, kind of a repackaging of our Lenten Voices. A very excellent preaching by the folks who gave of their time to and that shared their faith with us in those reflections. So again, it's kind of given a day-by-day thing, but you don't have to follow that. I think what's most important is that we give some time to hear what these folks had to say and to reflect upon the questions that their preaching leaves for us. So again, all of that, reminders of that are in this email as well. So as we go into Triduum, I'm not going to review the whole schedule. Hopefully all of you got this card in the mail, which has our Triduum schedule, and it's reviewed in the email besides. So please be attentive to that. There is room in person for all of the liturgies yet. So there is plenty of opportunity to join us for the liturgies of Triduum. The sign up is easy. It's new and improved. My mom signed up for the Easter Vigil, and my mom is not computer savvy. She wanted me to do it, and I said, Mother, I think you can do it, and she did it. So sign up, join us. Holy Thursday, Good Friday, we'll be in church at 12:15, outside at 5 o'clock. So again, for folks who are worried about the precautions about COVID, about being inside with a large group, that's why we're doing it outside. And we honor all the precautions there as well in terms of masks and distancing. And the forecast looks very nice, very comfortable weather, maybe a little breezy, but we're used to that after our Palm Sunday outdoor Mass. In fact, it won't be as breezy as it was on Sunday according to the forecast. And then on the Easter Vigil, that's our primary liturgy, and there is still room to join us for the Easter Vigil in person. As well as that will be live streamed Easter morning, 8:30. There's still room for 8:30 Mass on Easter morning, so there's room for you. And we'll be outside at 10:30. A year ago, we were fine-tuning the ability to live stream our celebrations of Mass. Up until Triduum, we had recorded the Mass on Friday afternoon and then made it available on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. But with Triduum, we were live on Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil. And as I said on Sunday, a year ago, participating online was our only option. That's all we could do because I think we were limited to 10 people who could be in church and fulfill the various ministries that were part of Mass. This year, I would really encourage that online be our last resort. That if you're in an at-risk group, if you haven't been vaccinated, for whatever reason you don't feel safe gathering in person, especially in church, online is the way to go. But we're gathering outside, we're worshiping outside as another opportunity to gather in person because it is not the same. And we are meant to gather as a community to celebrate, especially these days of Triduum. So I really kind of challenge us to consider not convenience, not to put ourselves at risk, but to consider these other options, especially if we're not comfortable gathering in person. The next option would be to gather outside. Our last resort, as I say, would be participating online. But we are offering it online, and we will I don't envision us stopping offering Mass online. And all those Triduum liturgies that I mentioned will be online. So Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil. If you're going to be online at home, I would really encourage you to participate in the Easter Vigil and to really be diligent in terms of the time, to try to celebrate those liturgies at the same time we are doing it here in church, to take advantage of that live stream feature. I think then at least then we're all engaged in this together at the same time. So not to see it as well, this would be a more convenient time. Let's really try to be as diligent as we can, recognizing that there's really nothing convenient about Triduum. It's a story, it's a message, it's a proclamation of faith that kind of speaks to the inconvenience of discipleship and how we sacrifice something to be followers of Jesus. So registration, room at all the liturgies, inside and outside. Online would be our last resort, but a good resort for those who need it. Also, the worship aid for Holy Thursday and Good Friday is the same as it was for Sunday. It's all packaged together. So if you have that at home from your at-home participation, hang on to that. Otherwise, when you stop in to get a palm or a little white book, or just to stop in, there are copies of this right inside the entranceway as well. By the way, the palms will be available until 6 p.m. on Wednesday, so you'll want to stop in by that point to get your palms. Oh, let me see. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, so as we gather this year for Triduum, it will not be the same as we would normally have experienced. It will be more complete than last year in that there will be people gathered. But because of COVID precautions, we are still not able, for example, to wash feet on Holy Thursday. We will venerate the cross on Good Friday, but we will do it in a more distant manner, so we can't all come up and touch or kiss the cross, understandably, but we will venerate the cross in sections similar to what we do at communion time in person. We can't gather around the fire. We can't have a procession into church following the Easter candle. But we will light our candles. And I guess maybe this allows us to focus even more diligently on the stories that are part of our celebration of Triduum. So the story we hear on Holy Thursday of the Exodus of the Passover of the Israelites, the first story in the second reading, Paul describing what the Lord did on the night before he died, to really listen to those words of that story, to hear the story of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. There is so much power in the ritual of doing that, but we can also find great power in the words of listening very carefully to those stories. And then at the Easter Vigil, the wonder of the light that passes through the church, that will still happen, the light that comes from that fire. And being washed with the Easter waters and renewed in our baptism. Those are all things that will still happen. So while some of us grieve, that so much of what we really appreciate and treasure about the Easter Vigil or about Triduum will not be happening, much of it will. And ultimately, what's most important is that we are able to gather as a Christian community and give thanks and praise to God and be renewed in who we are by the one who gave his life and rose from the dead. And that we are still able to do and will do. And I hope you will be with us for that. Finally, I want to just share the gospel that was proclaimed on Tuesday at Mass. So what we do in Holy Week for the readings for the Gospels proclaimed at daily Mass are kind of take us through pieces of John's Passion, which is proclaimed in its fullness on Good Friday. And it almost becomes overwhelming because we hear so much in a short amount of time. But on these weekdays, we just take a little piece day by day. But even in this passage I'm going to proclaim from chapter 13 of John's Gospel, there is a lot there. And if you want to check it out yourselves, it's chapter 13, verses 21 to 38. If you have Give Us This Day, it's right there. Or you can find the link, go to Holy Tuesday on our website, and you'll find the passage there as well. So this is from John. Reclining at table with his disciples, Jesus was deeply troubled and testified, "Amen, amen, I say to you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another at a loss as to whom he meant. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining at Jesus' side. So Simon Peter nodded to him to find out whom he meant. He leaned back against Jesus' chest and said to him, "Master, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I hand the morsel after I have dipped it." And so he dipped the morsel and took it and handed it to Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot. After Judas took the morsel, Satan entered him. So Jesus said to him, "What you are going to do, do quickly." Now none of those reclining at table realized why Jesus said this to Judas. Some thought that since Judas kept the money bag, Jesus had told him, "Buy what you need for the feast," or to give something to the poor. So Judas took the morsel and left, and it was night. When he had left, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and he will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. You will look for me, and as I told the Jews, where I go, you cannot come. So now I say to you," Simon Peter said to him, "Master, where are you going?" Jesus answered him, "Where I am going, you cannot follow me now, though you will follow me later." Peter said to him, "Master, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Amen, amen, I say to you, the cock will not crow before you deny me 3 times. Even in that passage, there is so much to ponder. At our staff meeting this week, I asked the staff to reflect upon that passage and consider what they might preach about if they were going to preach on this passage. And we, 6 people at the meeting, everyone had a different observation, a different piece of the story. And that gives us a lot to think about, where we might find ourselves in this story. I kind of challenged in my homily on Sunday, as we hear this story of the Passion, with which characters do we resonate? Which might we identify with, and which would we not want to identify with? And I think we might do that as well in terms of what unfolds in this story. I'd encourage you to find it again, or to kind of run this back and listen to me proclaim it again, and to just maybe look at what part of this story intrigues you. Which part of this story, if you were going to preach, might you want to preach about? And to think about how we would handle all this, how we would struggle with the various details, the announcements of betrayal and denial, of glorification, and what has unfolded before this as Jesus has shared himself at the table and has washed the feet of his disciples. There's a lot that's going on, a lot for us to struggle with and ponder as we hear this story and as we go into the 3 days that come at the end of this week. I hope that we can do that in our own times of personal prayer, but also that we can do that together as a parish, as we consider our new beginning as a community, renewed after a year of struggle, renewed as disciples of the Lord. Be well, everyone. I look forward to gathering and worshiping with you in the great days of Triduum.